Flowers in her hair, flowers everywhere. So today I would like to talk about Eden. This is the Echo World Magical Extra. And Eden is the goddess of youth, beauty, joy, immortality in the Old Norse mythology. So we can really use her right now. It's a story about Eden. She was kidnapped. That is pretty dramatic. The drama is that while Eden is portrayed as a rather pushy but a goddess, she did have the ultimate power. She had the golden apples that kept the gods young. She was married to Brage, who was the god of poetry. Neither was he portrayed as a very big warrior figure, but rather a somewhat wimpy person. But Eden, having the apples of immortality, changed everything when she was kidnapped. Because the gods, big, mighty, shiny gods, started to age. They withered, they wrinkled, they grew old. The little goddess of joy and youth turned out to be the most essential thing. Loki, who of course is part of getting her kidnapped in the first place, was assigned to try to bring her back. And indeed he did. He turned himself into a bird with help of Freya. And he carried her back, having turned her into a hazelnut, carrying her in his beak. When she came back, her golden apples were once again available to the gods, and they could stop aging, getting back their youth, getting back the splendor, the strength. I think there is wisdom in this tale, because somewhere when we are beyond survival, when we are beyond doing the war, we are beyond making ourselves known, whatever it is that is important to us in the moment. We cannot live without beauty. We cannot live without youth. And youth has nothing to do with this wrinkly face. This has everything to do with what lives in here. We cannot be immortal in our souls if we don't have beauty, if we don't have joy. We cannot be youthful. We cannot have hope. And that is what Eden represents. She is born of a dwarf, a creature of the earth, and a light elf. She is indeed the light in the earth, the light of the earth, maybe you would like to say. She is earthly pleasures at their most delicate. Idun, or Iduna, carries the traits of finding joy in the small things, finding joy and therefore also finding youth. These are no extras. These are the basis of our very survival. Without them, we wither and die. I have a friend. I have the privilege of having many amazing friends. But I have one friend who I call my fire sister, my Seder sister. Her name is Lisa. I visited her many years ago for the first time and got to see her longhouse. It's an old Viking style house that her husband had built for her. Benches, fireplace in the middle, all those beautiful things. And a throne. He built her own thrones. And I don't mean to put any pressure on you guys or partners out there. I'm just saying, he built her own throne. True love. Lisa and her family had created pictures on the walls of the longhouse. They were made from depictions of old star carvings in Sweden. And star carvings in Sweden, the very old ones, are often made on flat stones close to the sea or in the forest. And some of them go back to the Bronze Age. They are what you would expect. Many of them are ships or game, sun wheels. But Lisa had painted this one that I just stood in front and gasped. It's a little figure, a back flipping figure, almost like a circle. It's an acrobat. And it takes on this feeling of festival. And I stood watching this picture because this was the first time I saw it. And I thought, our ancestors, and mind you, when I say ancestors, if we go that far back in time, they're all our ancestors. These ancestors were doing acrobatic tricks in the middle of survival, in the middle of trying to find game, in the middle of not trying to freeze to death in the winter. They were still taking the time to do acrobatic tricks. This is part of the Idun entity. This is part of what she symbolizes. Whatever we are in, however difficult it is, sometimes you just have to make a backflip and look at it differently and focus on whatever is beautiful and whatever is joyful and whatever we have around us that we can enjoy. So, when I looked for inspiration for this video clip, that is probably one day late, by the way, I realized that I actually had two pieces into different books. One in my Wild Room book, and I want to remind the English audience that I'm translating as I go along, so it's not perfect, but I do my best. I allowed myself to be inspired by this picture that I saw from the stone carving. So this is my depiction of the rune of joy. It's a stylish P, as you can see. It doesn't look like this in the original, but I will leave you a link so you can look up the original. And I will read a story about the rune of joy that I associate very strongly with Idun, and then I will read a chapter from my other book about 33 portals to reach Idun. And we'll see how this goes. The man who walked through the elven ring. The man lived alone in endless forests. Pines whose tops reach the sky threw their shadows over his simple house. One day, the man sat leaned against an aging oak. His hat laid beside him, filled to the brim with acorns. His staff stood leaned against the trunk of the oak, and from the staff was hanging squirrels that he would fry later. The sun warmed the man's body, and he fell into a deep sleep. He woke up in a landscape bathing in moonlight. Delicate, gorgeous, moon-white creatures danced in front of him. Laughter and tones were mixed, and soon he was drawn into the dance. As the man danced, in places weaved of light, he drank tickling brews. He fell in love with a woman whose skin was as the soft bark of a birch. He slept in moss as silky as velvet. One day, the man woke up by a fly who was irritating him. The sunlight stuck in his eyes. He laid in a ring of mushrooms. When he sat up, he saw that the hat was rotten and the acorns had taken root, and around his tipped over staff there were squirrel skeletons. It didn't take long until the man realized that he could talk to animals and plants. He saw what moved in people's hearts and what was missing from them. And even though he lived far away from civilization, the rumor about the man spread through the forest. He who could heal that was not possible to heal. He whose songs gave courage to hearts who had given up a long time ago. The man whose words were filled with curious wisdom. The man was no longer alone, as many people came traveling far to see him. He got gold and praise for his work, but he was still not happy. All his life, he looked for the moon-white people without finding them. One day, when the man was very old, he rested in the mild shadow of a birch grove. Then his beloved stepped out from one of the trunks, as slender and soft as last he saw her. I sat by the oak night after night, but you didn't come, said the man. The portal is never the same from one time to the other, answered the woman, and stretched out her hand. The man grabbed her hand, allowed himself to be drawn into the trunk. The year fell off, and soon he danced young in green halls. Left was his body, with his face peacefully closed. Changing books. Flowers in our hair, flowers everywhere. Can't take yourself too seriously, ever, especially these days. Here's a small chapter of my book about Nordic goddesses. Small chapter from my chapter about Idun. To work magically with Idun. It really isn't possible to write about magical work with Idun, as she is constantly changing. What is new and fresh one day have changed the next day. She is mostly present in whatever is spontaneous, and the spontaneous defies written down rituals and ready-made instructions. But you can always try to give suggestion of possible ways of finding Idun. Even these will change from day to day, from person to person. But every once in a while, a door opens and you run right into the arms of Idun. 33 portal to being with Idun. Blow soap bubbles. Dress in pink. From the mildest old-fashioned pink to the strongest shock pink. Let the color of the girl's room become what is innocent and loving, but with a jokey twist. Communicate with everything living, the wind, the sunlight, and the trees. Don't hesitate. Don't forget to talk specifically with very small flowers and humble herbs. Wear a tiara. Find the meeting places of the fairies and open your heart to them. Make a delicate wand adorned with glitter, stars, and silver. Remember what it was like to be a child. Peel away all nostalgia. Children do not live in an unknown land. They live in an actual reality where we all have been. Remember what was real and take back what you miss. Dress in green. From the lightest spring green to the richest elven green. Adorn yourself with leaves and wild vine patterns. Imitate nature. Eat yellow apples. Observe very thoroughly very small things. Carry flowers and butterflies in your hair. Remember what it was like to be a teenager. What did you like? What was important? What convictions did you have then that you should have kept? Take them back. Listen to the blackbird. For a brief moment in time, Be just spirit. Put a crystal ball in the middle of your room. Look at the upside down world in the crystal ball and imagine this is the true world. Avoid to say I do. Say I am. Lay down on the ground. Feel its temperature and its firmness. Don't think of anything else. Be still. Understand that giving birth to a child is just one of many, many ways of giving birth. Make one or several symbols for the gesture. A mask, a pair of harlequin patterned pants, or a jester's hat. Dance. Change the rattle to a small staff filled with bells. Dress in yellow, from the softest baby yellow to shining sun yellow. Let the color warm your cells and open up the mind. Drink water. Don't think of anything else. Exchange evening television or the novel to poetry that opens portals. For example, try out nature romantic Walt Whitman, spiritual William Blake, or Swedish shaman poet Bruno K. Öijer. Ask a diva to move into a certain pot plant. Treat the plant as the elemental home that it is. Do the same to some of your plants in your garden. Draw runes in glitter. They are as powerful as a rune in blood, bones, and tree, but they don't take themselves as seriously. Let the sun warm your body. Put little gifts in your own pockets so you can find them during the day. Different kind of confetti is perfect. Myself, I just found a silver-colored bird and a purple bat by metal paper in my pocket. Give attention to the little people in a way that you find suitable. Let the winds caress your cheeks. Dress totally in white. Know you are holy. Know that everything